Charlie Chaplin stands on the empty stage of the Lyceum Theatre on Broadway, still holding his audition script while the harsh voice of theater critic Wellington Barnes echoes through the ornate venue. "Young man, you lack the sophistication for legitimate theater. Stick to music holes. You'll never make it on Broadway." What happens during the next 4 years and 8 months of Charlie's relentless pursuit to prove this prediction wrong doesn't just launch one of history's greatest entertainment careers. It demonstrates how the harshest criticism can become the most powerful fuel for achievement, and how those who doubt your potential often provide the exact motivation needed to exceed even your own expectations. Lyceum Theatre, Broadway, New York. September 22, 1913, Monday afternoon, 3:30. The theater represents everything prestigious about American entertainment. Red velvet seats, crystal chandeliers, ornate gold trim, and the lingering aura of legendary performances by the greatest actors of the age. For ambitious young performers, earning respect on Broadway means achieving the pinnacle of theatrical success. Charlie, at 24, has just completed his audition for a small role in a new dramatic production. His performance drew from everything he learned during his years with Fred Karno's comedy troupe, but adapted for serious theater. He demonstrated his range through emotional monologue work, showed his physical skills through period dance, and revealed his intelligence through sophisticated character interpretation. Wellington Barnes, the most influential theater critic in New York, attended this afternoon's auditions at the invitation of the production's backers. His reviews can make or break careers, and his approval virtually guarantees commercial success. Young actors desperately seek his attention, knowing that one positive notice from Barnes can transform their entire future. But Barnes has just delivered the kind of crushing verdict that ends dreams before they fully begin. "Mr. Chaplin," Barnes continues, adjusting his gold-rimmed spectacles, "you possess certain energetic qualities that might amuse the masses, but Broadway demands subtlety, intelligence, and cultural refinement. Your background in low comedy makes you unsuitable for serious dramatic work." Charlie stands silently, absorbing the criticism while dozens of other auditioning actors watch from the wings. This is a public humiliation designed to demonstrate Barnes's authority and influence over who belongs on Broadway's most prestigious stages. "Mr. Chaplin," Charlie responds carefully, "I appreciate your assessment, Mr. Barnes, but respectfully, I believe you may be underestimating what music hall experience teaches about connecting with audiences and understanding human nature." Barnes laughs dismissively. "Human nature, my dear boy. You've spent your career making people laugh at crude physical comedy. Broadway theater explores the depths of human emotion through sophisticated dramatic art. These are entirely different skills." "With respect, sir, comedy often reveals more about human nature than drama. It requires understanding what makes people respond emotionally to difficult situations. That seems relevant to serious acting." "Nonsense. Comedy is mechanical, setups and punchlines. Drama requires genuine emotional intelligence and cultural education that, frankly, someone of your background is unlikely to possess." The condescension in Barnes's voice makes clear that he views Charlie not just as professionally inadequate, but as socially inferior. This isn't merely artistic criticism, it's class prejudice disguised as aesthetic judgment. Charlie recognizes the implicit message. Performers from working-class backgrounds, especially those associated with low entertainment like music hall comedy, don't belong in high-culture institutions like Broadway theater. "Mr. Barnes, Charlie understands your perspective, but I wonder if you might reconsider if you saw a broader range of my capabilities. I've seen quite enough. You're energetic and enthusiastic. Find work that matches those qualities, but don't waste your time or hours pursuing roles that require sophistication you simply don't possess."
Barnes gathers his notes and walks towards the theater's exit, clearly considering the matter closed. His dismissal carries the finality of institutional judgment. Charlie has been evaluated by the establishment and found wanting. But instead of crushing Charlie's ambitions, Barnes's rejection ignites something deeper and more powerful than mere professional disappointment. It awakens the same fierce determination that carried Charlie through childhood poverty, workhouse humiliation, and years of struggling to establish himself in professional entertainment.
That evening, sitting in his modest boarding house room, Charlie writes in his journal, "Wellington Barnes believes my background disqualifies me from serious artistic work. I will prove that working-class experience provides better preparation for understanding human emotion than privileged education ever could." This isn't mere defiance, it's a strategic decision to use Barnes's prediction as a benchmark for measuring success. Charlie will consider his career successful only when he forces Barnes to publicly acknowledge his artistic legitimacy. Over the following months, Charlie makes a series of calculated moves designed specifically to build the kind of resume that will compel Barnes to reconsider his assessment. First, Charlie accepts a contract with Keystone Studios in Hollywood, reasoning that film work will allow him to develop his performance skills without geographic limitations. While Barnes dismissed motion pictures as artistically insignificant compared to live theater, Charlie recognizes that the medium's reach and influence are growing rapidly. At Keystone, Charlie doesn't just perform assigned roles, he studies every aspect of film production, learning cinematography, editing, direction, and business management. He understands that true artistic control requires understanding all the elements that contribute to the final creative product. More importantly, Charlie begins developing the little tramp character as a deliberate response to Barnes's criticism. The tramp represents everything Barnes claimed Charlie couldn't achieve, a character that reveals deep human truths through physical performance, combines comedy and pathos in sophisticated ways, and demonstrates genuine emotional intelligence through nonverbal communication. By 1915, Charlie's films are earning international recognition and substantial commercial success. But commercial success isn't enough to refute Barnes's artistic criticism. Charlie needs critical respect from serious cultural commentators. Charlie begins incorporating more complex themes into his comedy work. Films like The Tramp, 1915, and Easy Street, 1917, address social issues like poverty, crime, and class conflict through entertainment that manages to be both funny and meaningful. Importantly, Charlie ensures that his growing success receives coverage in New York publications that Barnes reads regularly. Each positive review, each discussion of Charlie's artistic development, each analysis of the deeper meanings in his work represents evidence accumulating against Barnes's initial judgment. The breakthrough comes in 1918 with the release of A Dog's Life, Charlie's first film to receive serious critical attention from establishment cultural critics. The New York Times Review specifically praises the film's sophisticated emotional depth and genuine artistic vision. But Charlie's real vindication comes in 1921 with The Kid, his first feature-length film. The movie combines comedy and drama so effectively that even skeptical critics acknowledge its artistic legitimacy. More importantly, it demonstrates exactly the kind of emotional intelligence and cultural sophistication that Barnes claimed Charlie lacked. The film's New York premiere at the Strand Theatre draws capacity crowds and enthusiastic critical response. Among the opening night attendees is Wellington Barnes, now reviewing films as well as theater for his newspaper column. Barnes's review, published 3 days after the premiere, represents a complete reversal of his 1913 assessment. Charles Chaplin's The Kid demonstrates that our initial evaluation of this performer's artistic potential was incomplete.
His combination of physical comedy with genuine emotional depth reveals an understanding of human nature that rivals the work of our finest dramatic actors. But Charlie isn't satisfied with Barnes's grudging acknowledgement. He wants a direct, personal recognition of the error in Barnes's original prediction. The opportunity comes in March 1922 when Charlie returns to New York for the premiere of Payday. Barnes requests an interview, ostensibly to discuss Charlie's artistic development, but clearly motivated by curiosity about how Charlie achieved success despite Barnes's dire predictions. They meet at the Algonquin Hotel, the same prestigious venue where Broadway's cultural elite gather regularly. The setting is symbolically perfect. Charlie has gained access to the exact social and artistic circles that Barnes claimed he could never enter. "Mr. Chaplin," Barnes begins, "I must acknowledge that your career has exceeded my initial expectations. Mr. Barnes, I appreciate your candor, but I'm curious, what specifically did you misjudge about my potential in 1913?
Barnes shifts uncomfortably. "Perhaps I was overly focused on conventional credentials rather than recognizing natural talent. Do you think my working-class background actually hindered my artistic development? Not hindered exactly, but surely you must acknowledge that formal education and cultural exposure would have accelerated your progress?" Charlie smiles. "Actually, Mr. Barnes, I believe my background provided better preparation for understanding human emotion than formal education could have offered. Living through poverty, uncertainty, and struggle gave me direct experience with the feelings that great art explores." That's an interesting perspective. Mr. Barnes, when you told me I'd never make it on Broadway, you were technically correct. I didn't make it on Broadway. I created something bigger. I built an international artistic platform that reaches more people than Broadway ever could. Barnes realizes that Charlie hasn't just proven his original prediction wrong, he's demonstrated that the prediction itself was based on fundamentally flawed assumptions about what constitutes artistic merit and cultural significance. "Mr. Chaplin, I believe I owe you an apology. My initial assessment was not only incorrect, but based on prejudices that prevented me from recognizing genuine artistic potential." "Mr. Barnes, no apology is necessary. Your doubt gave me the exact motivation I needed to exceed my own expectations. Sometimes the greatest gift critics can provide is underestimating the people they're evaluating." The interview, published in Barnes' column the following week, becomes a widely discussed examination of how cultural establishments can miss emerging talent by applying traditional criteria to revolutionary artists. But the real significance of Charlie's vindication extends beyond personal satisfaction. His success demonstrates that artistic merit cannot be predicted based on social background, formal education, or conformity to established patterns. Years later, when film students ask Charlie about handling rejection and criticism, he always returns to his encounter with Wellington Barnes. "That day at the Lyceum Theatre taught me that the people who say you'll never succeed are often the people who most need to see you prove them wrong. Their doubt becomes your drive. Their limitations become your opportunities." What's the most important lesson from that experience? That critics who dismiss your potential based on their prejudices are actually providing you with the clearest possible goals. When someone tells you what you can't achieve, they've just defined exactly what you need to accomplish. The 4 years and 8 months between Barnes's rejection and his public acknowledgement of error proved that the harshest criticism can fuel the greatest achievements, but only when it comes from people whose judgment matters enough to be worth proving wrong.